Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 5th episode of the Castles, Cantrips, and Conniptions podcast. My name is Edward.
And my name is Evan.
And I'm so happy to have you here. In our podcast, we talk about all things fantasy, movies, Dungeons and Dragons, video games, everything. We give our thoughts on certain shows, on games. We talk about some books we've got. We talk about D&D games we've played. So if you're interested in that, make sure to stick around.
Yes, like the video if you do, and enjoy listening.
Course. Yes, and enjoy. So, I wanted to get started with the new Dungeons & Dragons book that I got, if that's okay.
Okay, yeah, sure.
It's not new as in like release. I mean, I think it is one of the newest books they've released. But I got it for Christmas, and it's the Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft.
Okay.
It is a supplementary book for everything horror in D&D. So if you want to use horror in your games, this is an absolute must. And that's also something I want to get into a bit, is playing up horror in your D&D games.
Yeah.
And how that can be quite difficult.
Because I'm interested in how different a normal D&D campaign or adventure is from a horror-themed one. Like what are the different
I think the important
mechanics that you have to use in order to make it a fun adventure?
I think one of the biggest things you can do as a DM to make the game scary or more scary is first of all choose the right monsters. In a game where there's unicorns running around, no one's gonna be really scared, so that's really important. Also, try to set an atmosphere. Don't get all classic epic fantasy into it. Get a dark setting going and everything's gloomy, and put on some slower, more darker music. I have one game soundtrack that I would use if I would be running a horror campaign. And understand that your players have to understand that it's a horror campaign. If you're just saying, we're going to play D&D and it's kind of spooky, then they're going to be like, oh, okay, cool. They're not going to change their role playing or change their approach to the game. They're probably just going to be laughing at everything the entire time at how stupid the vampires are.
Yeah.
So before your game, make sure during your session 0, for example, to talk with your players and basically tell them like, hey, I want to do a more serious role, like horror game, so it's going to be a bit darker and there's going to be some heavier role playing. You guys okay with that? And you guys understand that? And if you all agree, then you can have a fun time.
But is this what is mentioned in the book that you should do, or is this just something that you yourself have experienced?
Yes, no, this is. I don't have much experience with like horror games, as in horror D&D games. I haven't played many of those, but definitely in the book they tell you how to approach different types of horror as well. There's like cosmic horror, folk horror, ghost stories, body horror, how to approach those, what to keep in mind, and what not to do, because there's some genres that have some this is quite they paint a poor picture of certain things, and you don't want to do that, so they tell you how to avoid certain things when you, for example, use
certain tropes
cosmic
or
horror.
Something.
Certain tropes that might be offensive in some way or stigmatizing about certain things like mental illness. You kind of want to avoid those.
That Wizards of the Coast have to include these things in their books to make it
obviously
approachable for everyone, but it also depends on the group you're playing with.
It does.
What
I mean to say is like you can use
and what isn't.
Yeah, definitely. You can use stuff like that, heavier stuff, but perhaps don't spread misinformation, I suppose. What I'm trying to say. So they teach you how to approach that, and
it's still fantasy.
Encounters.
It's still
fake.
Of
course.
And if everyone understands that in the group, then I think you can get away with a lot of things as long as they're
That's also what they say.
As
like
long
if
as
the
they
group
make
is
sense
okay with
for
it.
the setting and the
Definitely.
adventure.
Yeah. So if the group agrees, it's a lot of because people have boundaries, and if you push it too hard, then it won't be fun, and it's still a game. So.
Yeah.
But
definitely
they give you
plenty of stories on Reddit that I've read on
yes
on D&D
yes.
of just the worst
the
adventures
Crit Crab YouTube channel, horror DMs. It's so good.
Yeah, a bit fucked up, especially when there's new players that have never played, and then they get introduced to something so vulgar.
Yeah, I mean D&D itself is
stuff.
daunting, but it's gonna be even worse if you're
if it's like this kind of setting, like depressing, lots of blood, lots of taboo kind of objectives and adventures and information.
Yeah, I'd see how that'd be quite scary for new players. But yeah, that's pretty much what's in the book. Also, it contains a lot more stuff. It contains a lot of new monsters, a lot of spooky zombies and stuff, and 3 new races. But they're interesting. It's races that you can pick on top of existing races.
Yeah,
so
explain that one to me.
Yeah, so basically I make my character at level 1 and he's a human. Cool. I play, let's say, 6 sessions, we get to level 3 and I get bit by a vampire. But I'm somewhat resistant to the curse, so I turn into a Dhampir, which is one of the races in the book. That means I keep certain traits about being human, but I add Dhampir traits onto them.
Okay.
And it goes
what traits are those?
I'll look right now. There's also 2 other races. There's Hexbloods and Reborn. I'll quickly explain what those are.
These are all vampire races.
No. Hexbloods are basically what you get if a hag makes a pact with someone, and they use magic to alter them. So, for example, in my mind, I have a character concept right now for Hexblood. 2 parents are trying to make a child, but they can't. So they go to a hag to ask for help. The hag agrees, but there's a catch. The child isn't human. It's born as a Hexblood, it has horns and colored skin, like purple colored skin and magical hair and stuff. And Reborn are basically undead. So not zombies or skeletons, but they still retain their humanity and memories from their past life.
Yeah. Just they don't have a pulse or they feel cold to the touch.
Yeah, literally like that. They don't have to breathe or eat or sleep.
So can they go underwater without breathing?
Yeah, they can.
Okay. So these are...
Right.
Yeah, what are some of the abilities?
Yeah, for the Dhampir, it would be... let's see, you have hungers. So hungers are basically something you can add into roleplay, the thing your Dhampir needs to feed on, which could be blood, just from the table in the book, blood, flesh or raw meat, cerebral spinal fluid, psychic energy, dreams, or life energy. Okay. You have several origins, a table for origins. You get, here we have the abilities. You get dark vision, deathless nature, so you don't need to breathe, spider climb, which is actually quite good, vampire bite, which is basically a bite that deals damage, but I think you regain hit points equal to the piercing damage dealt by the bite, and you gain bonus to the next ability check or attack roll you make. The bonus equals the piercing damage dealt by the bite.
Okay, so and are there any negative traits that get added as well? Because I can imagine that it's a bit overpowered. But I
think, it can be quite strong, but if you keep to the hungers, for example, for the Dhampir, then it's quite a big challenge for players. Let's say they're a lawful good paladin, but they become a Dhampir, and they have to feed on life energy. But their oath is, for example, is to protect all people and kill no one. Then you have to kind of play that out in roleplay, that your character might have to abandon his oath and become even weaker, you know?
Yeah.
So I think it in the long run, not ability wise, but roleplay wise, it definitely weakens you. But just ability wise, it definitely does make you stronger.
Okay, well, interesting. Yeah, I'm not sure.
It's something new for D&D, I think. I've never seen anything like this.
Yeah, not like putting abilities on top of your current character. But like you said, roleplay changes dramatically.
Yeah, it does.
So these can be used in a horror setting or also normal D&D settings. Normal
yeah,
adventures.
I don't see why they can be. I
so
watch
say
a
like
D&D.
A bard that is usually quite jolly and quite friendly with everyone. So suddenly gets bit by a vampire and now he has to consume blood every night.
That could be a fun thing for your campaign, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but it would still be quite a fun campaign and not like a depressing horror campaign.
Yeah, but I don't think it has to be. Like, I've played a vampire in one of your games, right? And that was a pretty normal campaign. It wasn't very dark. It was just a regular fantasy campaign.
Which one was that?
The big one we did with Gaius, and then I played Alexander the vampire.
Oh, that one. But you didn't play him we didn't have many sessions.
No, with that character I didn't, but then again I did play a vampire and it still did kind of fit in the whole, like it didn't interfere with anything.
Yeah.
And I'm also watching a D&D campaign online where they have a reborn in the party, and that's fine too. It doesn't really... Yeah, I think it works if you can get around the certain lore things. For example, with the reborn, that you have some origins for the reborn, but you don't really need to use those. You can just just make your own based on the world. So they're not necessarily for horror, but if you're doing a horror campaign, these are quite necessary because these are great to use in Curse of Strahd, for example.
Yeah, to hook the players and different objectives, side quests and missions.
Yes, to add some whole flavor to playing your character.
Yeah, so talking about more of the horror settings themselves, like you mentioned cosmic horror.
Yeah, cosmic horror.
You probably know I'm a huge fan of like Bloodborne.
Yes,
and that's pretty much as horror as it can get in games. At least not the jump scary horror, which I'm not about, but like the setting and the architecture of the buildings, like Victorian,
horror, really.
Gothic horror. But it slowly
evolves. That's also a category in this book as well. Yeah,
so it slowly changes into a cosmic horror, and it's quite well combined. So I think you can do something like that in D&D as well.
Oh, I bet you could. I mean, settings. Enough writing and enough time, and you can get anything done in D&D. That's really the good thing about it.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, there's.
I do think one of the differences between like a horror setting or a normal fantasy setting, classical fantasy, is that it takes a bit more from the DM to explain the atmosphere. And
it does, yeah. You have to do more prep as well to get the right music and stuff like that.
Yeah, not necessarily music, but just setting the tone, which is quite depressing and low, and not funny or as casual as a classical fantasy campaign. So I think it does require more, also like you said, talk to the players beforehand, that it's not going to be a fun one. There will be funny moments probably, but the main part is to just...
I ran a one-shot with a friend of mine, just one-on-one, and I wanted to introduce him to my style of DMing, and I decided to go for a horror one-shot. It's called Hex, and it's basically that he was in this village, and everyone looked really tired and kind of like crap, and everyone was really grumpy. Not everyone, but most people were, and he was just traveling, and he came upon this village, and people were talking about that they got weird dreams and stuff about a lady in the woods, and there were these dark woods on the edges of town. And he went to sleep in the tavern, and he got a dream that on the edge of the woods there would be a woman waiting for him, like this pale, skinny woman in these tattered robes with this long black hair in front of her face, basically like The Ring.
Right.
The movie.
Classic look of a woman who is dead in the woods.
Yes.
As a ghost.
Yes. So he wakes up from basically a nightmare, and he finds it next morning. First thing he hears is a scream coming from the town center. He rushes down, and he sees a woman on her knees, and she's pale-faced, and she's got these like darkened veins, and she's just on her knees, and she's crying and screaming that she took my child, and he goes to ask her what happened, and the woman looks at the player, and she just screams right in his face and then dies, and then he hears a cackling because he had pretty high passive perception from behind him, and he turns around, doesn't see anything, but he follows the sound, and it leads to the edge of the woods, of course. Goes into the woods, and he comes upon this like trail through the woods, with like these dead trees, and from the trees there's little ropes, and from the ropes there's like small bits of candy hanging from the ropes, and he's like, oh, this is weird. So he follows that, he follows the rope trail, and all of a sudden he hears cackling behind him. He turns around, and behind him is the lady, and she's got her long fingers on the shoulders of two small children who are currently eating candy, and she quickly talks to him, and he wants to attack right away, but I froze him.
Yeah, I would do to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to get some, conversation in, because he was just gonna be like, I guessed major, I guessed magic missile, I kill her.
Fuck this bitch.
Yes, gank that fucker. So no, but he didn't. Well, I froze him. He would have, and then she talks to him and stuff, and he turns around. She disappears. He turns around, and the house of hers right behind her, and it's this classic
cabin in the woods type
candy house, like the folklore witch house,
Yeah.
And goes in, has a way too tough battle with a night hag,
right,
which I purposely did, but it was fun.
What was the challenge rating?
I think night hags are 3,
and it was just this guy.
Yeah, just this guy. He was level 3 against a night hag of level 3.
That's pretty tough. Yeah.
It was, but he was supposed to kind of feel like it was tough. It was supposed to be extremely difficult, and I nudged towards an oven that was in the room as well, so he could have used that. He did eventually, but he nearly killed it and then pushed it into the oven,
right, like
Hansel and Gretel. And then he saved the kids, and everyone was nice, everyone was happy again. Returned to the village. Turns out the woman they were seeing was the night hag. She was poisoning everyone's dreams and minds to make everyone too sleepy, so she could steal the children of the village.
Right.
And that was the one shot. But I had the right music. I had the right images. I did it online, by the way, on Roll20, so I could use images. That was great.
Yeah.
I had super dark images, dark music. I described everything slowly, which I think really helps. If you go high energy, then your players are going to react high energy.
Yeah.
So I was talking slowly. Behind you, you hear a cackling. You turn around, and she's there.
Yeah, and
her long, white, gnarled fingers on the shoulder of 2 little children eating away at some candy. Her dark red eyes peer through her black hair, and she speaks to you. You found me. Yeah, that's how I narrated the entire thing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's good. How I need to be more immersive with your tone and with your voice. And it's easy for just one-on-one, because if you have a group, like if one person makes a joke, then everyone is just laughing and
Yes.
being off jolly again. But I think it can work with a group. Like
Yeah, if you just speak to them, that's a lot of people like, I have this DM issue, I don't know how to fix it. Well, talk to your group.
yeah,
They're probably adults. If they're not, you're probably the same age. Talk to your group. It's really as simple as that.
yeah. So this adventure that you wrote is probably inspired by Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah, it was.
But I also noticed some Witcher in there. I'm not sure if you played that mission in The Witcher 3.
With the 3 hags in the little village
Yeah,
in
with
the
the
forest.
children.
Yeah, with the trees and the candy on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, the candy was kids. He didn't taste it, luckily, but the candy was kids.
Oh, okay. So she turned the kids into candy.
Yeah, she recycled it basically, and so the it was just really sweet. But yeah.
Yeah. So
there was a lot of things.
One question
pretty messed up.
that's
Yes.
probably maybe not. Yeah, maybe you haven't thought about it, and it's maybe a bit of a bit of an asshole for me. I'm not sure how to describe it. My vocabulary leaves me sometimes, but what was her story of the hack? Why did she do the things that she did?
Well, so I don't have a full backstory for the hag. She was just a night hag that lived in those woods, and she obviously needed to eat, and hags eat kids. They eat other things, but they eat like kids especially. And there was this village, and she had lived next to the village for a very long time, and she waited till there was a lot of kids being born. Then she started to use her magic, get everyone tired, and then steal the kids and eat them.
Man, can you imagine your diet consists only of children?
Yeah, but if you're a magical fey creature, then I suppose it's not that difficult.
Yeah, but do you know how frustrating that is? Like all you can
Yeah.
eat is just children.
Kids.
It's
I
like,
mean, it does
I live in the
go into
woods.
a McDonald's
There's never going to be any
playground.
children here.
Yes, I mean, it does make living next to a McDonald's playground like a walk-in buffet, but that's fine.
Yeah. I can see like a hag disguising herself as like a nanny or a kindergarten
Yeah, but
teacher.
she did actually. She was like one of the old women, the elder women from the village. When the player came into the tavern, I described. You walk into the tavern. The atmosphere is quite gloomy. No music is playing. There's only really 3 people inside. There's a man, drunk, sleeping on the bench, benching up against the wall. A banner of the village above him, and there's a woman, an elderly woman, softly humming. She seems quite happy, sitting in the corner, and she is knitting something.
Yeah, but that's already creepy. That's already a bit messed up.
Yeah, so the thing was, and then there was the barkeeper who was also kind of slumped over on the bar. So it wasn't like I didn't give any hints. It was quite clear actually that this woman was the only one in the village who was, quite bright. She seemed fine. She was
Yeah.
just knitting away, humming a little song, while the guy next to her was sleeping.
Yeah.
Huzzah, hint, hint. But yeah, he didn't get it. That's fine.
Yeah, but that's
But
so
I did refer to it.
suspicious woman.
Suspicious woman, I cast fireball, but
Yeah.
you'll burn down the tavern. I don't care.
No. Just
There are no consequences in D&D.
preemptively.
Preemptive strike, just murder the entire village because there
Yeah.
could be a hag amongst the.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah, that was a
yeah.
fun session though.
Yeah, it sounds quite fun and interesting. I think once you get really into the feel for horror, you can really do some like plot twists and
Yes,
crazy
definitely.
like skin crawling moments that even the players didn't expect. So
I mean, I kind of want to. So with the big campaign I want to do in the summer, I
Yeah.
wanted to keep it fantasy, as in like just classic, and I will keep it fantasy, but
Okay.
I do really like horror and DMing horror, so I might get some sessions that are more dark, even though the world isn't that dark. I mean, it's, on the balance of Lord of the Rings and Witcher, it's kind of a mix on the
Right.
scale of like dark and classic fantasy.
But there still can be dark moments or
Oh yes,
areas.
definitely.
Like
Mhm.
in the world I have built for my campaigns, like there are places that are definitely unsettling and scary and forbidden for most for the people that live around it. Like they've been the area has been cursed, or at least that's how the stories go.
Yeah.
So I think there's
Yeah, I have
definitely
one
ways to
one area.
incorporate horror into your normal adventures and campaigns.
Yeah, and also this was a tip that I kind of stole from XP level 3, I think it was. But what you can do is you can keep it sort of horror or like more grim in the first, let's say, 4 to 3 levels,
Right.
because the players are really vulnerable,
Yeah.
and there's still a lot that can kill them,
Yeah.
and then slowly develop as the players get more settled into the world and get more powerful, that they have like, oh, they are the magic, they are the chosen few who will save the galaxy, the world.
Right.
Do that at later levels. Start it off kind of grim, if you really want to mix it, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna
Yeah.
do some sessions that might have some creepier creatures or just a darker setting.
Yeah, I think that can work quite well with more experienced players that have played D&D before, but for like
Yeah.
first-time players, like you want something more light and
Mm-hmm.
more something that they recognize. Like if they enjoy Lord of the Rings, do something similar, heroic and fantastical, or if they like Skyrim, for instance, like do something more like that, just so that they have something to compare it to, and not be completely alienated from what you're trying to
Yeah, that's a great
tell
tip.
them. So yeah, I do have one adventure that I wrote a couple of years ago that is more horror based, but because the book wasn't out yet, I wasn't sure how well I could make it horror, because it's more roleplay heavy than combat,
Ooh,
and a lot
I
more
like.
investigating, reading notes and journal pages.
Yeah, that's exactly how I like my D&D.
Yeah, so maybe I'll pick up the book sometime and properly complete this adventure, and have some of you guys play it, because I do really want to run it, because I wrote it just because I was inspired at the time, but I never got around to actually incorporating it in one of the existing games that I run.
Mm-hmm. So is it like a one shot, or is it a campaign, or?
No, it's definitely a one shot, but I can put it into the world that is already created with your characters that already exist.
Okay. I would imagine that you'd need us to make like more grounded and darker characters for that. Then
maybe, or just I'll tell you, okay, this is going to be more of a serious adventure. So I think it can help with the characters that you already have to maybe look at it a bit differently. Your character, I mean, that is like
Okay.
usually quite fun character now really has to deal with some of the more darker and scary elements, and see how they react to that. I think that can be quite interesting for character development.
It definitely could be. I mean, just have Rosemary hide under a bench the entire game and poop his pants.
Yeah.
Can't charm the monster? I'm out of here, sister. He's not gonna.
Yeah, so
He is
speaking
not gonna fight it.
of scary things and new characters, we had a D&D session last week
Yes.
I was
Should
the
I
DM.
get right to it or just
No,
wait,
no,
let it build?
let's let it build a little bit.
Alright.
I'll set the scene first. So I DM this, like it kind of has turned into a campaign. It
We
wasn't
played plenty
intended
of
to be a
sessions.
campaign at first, but we liked it so much that right now we've played like 7 sessions in this setting.
Yeah, I think. And that's a lot for us, people. You know,
Yeah.
we get around to a session maybe every 2-3 months if we're lucky. So
Yeah,
that's
something
a
like that.
lot for us.
Yeah. So we enjoyed this one. I enjoy running it. It's the same campaign as the prison story. So
That was in our last episode. Go check that out. Really, really funny.
Yep. So this time, the 2 characters, Jonas and Jack, they live in this huge city. They escaped prison and they have built their own like gangs. Like Jonas doesn't call it a gang.
It's an organization.
Yeah. Alright, but I still think it's a gang, and so do all the
It
crime
is an
bosses.
organization.
But anyway,
We have a political agenda.
yeah, so do all the other criminal guilds. So there's this huge sewer system underneath the city, and because the prison riot happened, and people have started to lose trust in the authorities. So they really ramped up their game. More patrols, more soldiers, more pay for the soldiers. So the criminal underworld really needs to start moving their goods and people through the sewers. And as such, they invested into expanding this network underground and doing excavations. At some point, they breached into an underground cavern, and they discovered that there was a like a stone village underneath the city in this cavern. And they requested the help of the 2 player characters to investigate this village, maybe create sort of a map for it, just so the criminal underworld could use this place as like a hideout or like a black market type of situation, because no one, not even the highest officials, knew that this place existed. So they really could up their game with this place, and they promised the player characters like a seat at the criminal council, yeah. So to really start making decisions all throughout the city. So the players go into this cavern with minimal light. They got the aid of a wizard who casts.
I have dark vision.
Yeah, you have dark vision.
The classic. I have dark vision. I did that too.
You did, yeah.
It's really dark. You can't see a thing. Except for those I have dark vision. Fuck you, DM. Screw your scary encounter.
No, that's fine, because I got my revenge.
Yeah, you did.
So anyway, they roped down into this village because it was quite high up where they were, and the wizard cast
150 feet or something.
Yeah, 150 feet, something like that. Yeah. So they got down there, and the crime boss had already sent in two
people, yeah.
2 people, more like goons, and they never returned, and all they heard were the screams, and the torches had dropped. So the players already knew something was going on down here. They didn't know what, but something bad. So they got down here completely in the darkness, apart from some of the orbs of light that the wizard cast. And they was just super on edge all the time. So do you want to continue how you and the other player approached
Yeah.
Down here.
Okay, so before I went down, I had this crossbow with a scope mounted on it, kind of homebrew, but it allowed me to see clearer and further away, logical. So I looked through and I didn't see anything. But we went down, me and the other player and my companion dog, or wolf, crap, did it myself. It is a wolf, everyone calls it a dog. So we go down, and this is strange, like, it's a village, but it's been completely abandoned, and the architecture is weird, like we have never seen this before. So we travel through, and we explore a little bit, and I find a corpse from one of the men who went down, completely eviscerated and just torn to shreds.
Yeah.
And in the wounds there's this pulsating black goo stuff. I don't know. It was
like black ooze.
Yeah, I
really
thought it was going to be an
nasty.
actual ooze and attack us, so I just shot him in the head to make sure.
Yeah, no, that's
wasn't.
fine.
So we looked through, and all of a sudden we heard skittering.
Yeah.
And so what Evan did, before the session started, he sent us an image, like a teaser image, and it was like this darkness, and there were just a bunch of white eyes just like staring at the basically
so
the
before
the
every
maker of the
session,
image.
I post a teaser image in the Discord channel that we have. So just to get players a bit more like excited for the adventure. It's nothing.
Yeah.
It really is just a teaser image. Like
But it really helps get you excited.
Yeah.
As a player, I can definitely say, like, we started speculating, and we were pretty sure there was going to be ghost people down here, or like spirit people, whatever. So we were fully prepared to fight those. I heard skittering. IRL, I'm really scared of spiders. So the skittering is not a good sign. I thought it's maybe going to be ghouls. Maybe it's going to be, I don't know, like things that crawl on 4 legs. I don't know. I just don't want a spider. And then I'm pretty sure it attacked the other player first.
Well, there was
crawled down.
There was another moment with a shape lying on a bed.
Oh yeah,
I'm not sure if you discovered it or the other player.
I did. Yeah,
Right.
I crawled through a window of a house. I sneaked through, and there was something on the bed. There was this. It was a skeleton. It was decomposed.
Yeah.
And I found this amulet or this necklace, and I don't remember. I think it had like an S on it or something.
Yeah, like an S shape.
Yeah. So it had something on that. It had something like an S on the jewelry. I took it. I went out the back.
Yeah,
and
but there was something about this body. This skeleton on the bed.
It belonged to an elf, right?
That's one. But it also didn't have a head anymore.
Oh yeah, that's true. It was missing a head. I forgot. Sorry. So yeah, it was missing a head, and I found out it belonged to an elf.
Yeah.
I moved through the back. I rolled stealth, rolled a natural 1, even though I have a +8 in stealth. I critically failed, kicked a pickaxe down a shaft, and woke everyone up within a 50-mile radius.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Immediately, I began to make the joke, "You fool of a took," and then walked on. I think you had us roll initiative as well.
Yeah, I basically immediately, as you made that noise, and I had to roll for myself to see if it got picked up by the thing that I incorporated in this place, which it did. Obviously, it's like really super perceptive. But I made them roll initiative, but I didn't engage them immediately. I just wanted to make them know that, okay, whatever is down here, it knows. That's what I wanted to make clear.
Oh, that was so horrible.
Yeah.
So me and the other player immediately grouped up, like, what happened? I fucked up, man. I kicked a pickaxe down a mine shaft. So we grouped up, and I think we waited, right? We walked. We pushed on.
Yeah, you hunkered
pushed
down
on.
at some point.
Yeah, we hunkered down for a little bit, waited, didn't hear anything, pushed on towards the square, like there was this little square in the town.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that's when I saw this wooden
like
platform.
a structure.
And there were a bunch of like stones on top. And I stabbed into it with my short sword, and that turned out to be a huge pile of corpses.
Yeah, like bones and ash of burnt corpses.
Yeah, and I think that triggered the spider to attack us.
Yeah, so you two got separated at that point. You started to investigate this pile of corpses, and the other player stayed behind. And that's when I saw the opportunity to try and jump the other player, which unfortunately didn't work as intended because they were quite perceptive, and I rolled pretty bad for.
You rolled like a 2 for stealth, right?
Yeah, I can't quite remember, but it was lower than at least their passive perception was.
Their passive is like a 9.
Yeah, still.
I'm pretty sure you did roll a 3. You were like, "Oh, are you serious?" From behind your screen. I was like, yes.
Yeah, but it's fine. So the other player turned around, and what they saw was this huge spider just come crawling down this stone building, trying to jump them. So they immediately shit their pants. So yeah, that's when you came running. Oh no, it ran away, the player, towards you, I think.
I think he attack and then move, or disengage and move?
No, I think he just ran straight past you.
Oh no, he dashed. Yeah, he just dashed towards me, and he was like,
spider.
Big fucking spider.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, anything but spiders. And then
so what ensued was just like a cat and mouse play of this spider. Then the players doing a little bit of damage, and the spider just running away, trying to get.
I did like, I think it had 72 hit points. I dealt 62 damage.
Yeah, it was left with 10, but that comes later. So what I really wanted to try this time, because it doesn't always happen unfortunately, is to have like the final boss or just hostile NPCs to disengage and just run away, because I usually have them just fight till the death, which is not unrealistic, but it's not really realistic either. Like if you're on the brink of death, you won't continue swinging your sword against a player that clearly stands tall.
Yeah.
So I really wanted to
yeah.
have an enemy that really, or how to say it, that worked best if they surprised and stalked the players. So that's
right
when
on its own terms, basically.
Yeah. So really, once things got too much for it, for this creature, it would just hide and be able to hide quite well. It had like a +4 on stealth rolls, something like that. So that's why I created this, or not created this creature, but I took this stat from a different book with creatures. But I did want to make it a bit easier for me to have it stalk the players and have the stats to do so, and be a bit more realistic in the sense that it first would try and outsmart the players and stalk them from the back or the sides until they don't notice it anymore, and then it strikes.
And then it strikes.
Which works.
Doom doom.
Because they were quite on edge the first time it ran away. Like, I'm not sure what you did then.
I cast it. Oh, that I don't remember. I do remember casting jump and then jumping onto the houses and just shooting it with bolts as much as I could.
Yeah, but it was far more agile in this place than you were.
And I'm a pretty agile guy.
Yeah, but I will say
a wood elf.
I rolled a bit not great on every stealth roll, so you did perceive it here and there in between buildings, which only made it more scary and for the two.
Yeah, I just got a glimpse of it, and I couldn't attack because it was gone too quickly, and that was horrible. And I hate you, and I pooped my pants.
I remember, I think it was you or the other player, can't quite remember, that tried to throw a torch into its direction and it just bounced off a wall. That was funny.
Me. I tried to like Call of Duty wall bang a torch and I failed horribly. I rolled a 2.
Yeah, it just bounced off. Like that was your action or bonus action. Just gone.
Yeah, entire turn gone.
Yeah, so anyway...
I've never readied so much in a fight, by the way.
Oh yeah.
You just use the ready action the entire time because you can't see it.
Yeah. There was a lot of... Because you, at this point, you only had discovered like half of this place that I had drawn up. Like there were far more like alleyways and loop backs around to this square. Like a building with a hole in it that you could have used to ambush this thing or funnel it in some way. So I did incorporate a lot of elements to be able to really set traps and stuff, but you never really got around to do so because you readied and waited for it to appear, so it couldn't get a jump on your party. Until it did.
Yeah.
So do you want to explain your moment?
Yeah, it's still, I have quite a vivid memory.
When you started to chase it?
Yeah, so it was attacking the other player. I had readied my action. I shot the thing. I sent my dog, my wolf after it. But it wasn't in range yet, my wolf, so I readied another action as far as I could. I jumped onto the buildings and I waited. Thing crawled away. I went after it. I did a backflip. That was pretty cool.
That was
from one building to another. So I ran after it, shooting it with crossbow bolts as much as I could, damaging it even more. And then it was like on the same roof level as me, and it just like crawled off it, like right off the edge. And I thought it was gonna go further, and move further. I could shoot it.
Yeah, it disappeared out of sight.
It disappeared out of sight. Instead, it came up. It reared up from the building that it just crawled straight down.
Yeah.
And it attacked me. It dealt the exact amount of damage that it needed to kill me.
Yeah.
I then failed a strength check. I was grappled.
So
and
then it.
Yeah.
The circumstances were exactly right for this to happen. By the way.
It was completely fair. Like it was just pure coincidence that it was like the stars had aligned for this.
Yeah. So it grappled this player after it made 2 attacks. It was a challenge rating of 3, and both the players were challenged were level 4. So this was a fair fight. I think it was quite balanced.
It was, but I just got really unlucky.
Yeah. So Jonas was grappled, and then this spider showed its long tongue that came out of its black oozy mouth, stuck it down Jonas' throat and ripped out his heart, and he died instantly.
And insta-killed me. Yeah, without rolling any death saves.
This was one of the attacks that the spiders could do, and the player couldn't make a if it went down to 0 hit points because of this attack.
And failed a con save for the heart thing, and failed a strength save to get grappled. So I failed and a con save and strength save, and it exactly reduced me to 0 hit points. And so that happened.
Yeah, so no death saving throws, just dead instantly.
And it killed my companion as well. Rip
Yeah.
Doggo.
Yeah, because the wolf tried to at least...
It was really sad. He tried to desperately like save me even though I was already dead, and he attacked the thing and he was
Yeah.
biting it and yelping, and then the
But-
spider just turned around and insta-killed it as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so the other player
thing.
just went straight the fuck out of there. Just back up the rope, like dash, dash, dash every turn.
And he escaped.
Yeah, he did escape, but the spider was still alive with only 10 hit points left. He started
Yeah,
with
but
72.
that sucked, man. That's like afterwards, like, are you kidding me? It had 10 hit points left.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was kind of poop. But yeah, that was the first. No, it wasn't really the first character death.
No, it wasn't.
I had. It's the first permanent one,
Yeah, it was definitely the most unexpected one.
and the most unexpected one, because the one I did have was a TPK, but you kind of went back on it saying like it was a dream because it was
Oh,
like
yeah,
the
that
side
moment.
adventure for a main campaign.
Yeah, it was a bit...
So it
Yeah, that's a different story, but whatever.
yeah, that was completely fine. So that was the only time I had one of my characters die. This time it happened permanently and completely unplanned. And the funny thing was, and that's why
Yeah.
I can still laugh about it, before the session I DM'd Evan, hey Evan, I think I want to let Jonas die this session and turn them into a reborn, just because I just got my new book.
Yeah.
And then right before the game, I spoke to him, and I was like, "Yo, I don't think I'm gonna do this."
Yeah. So I wasn't
yeah,
sure if I wanted on purpose character death. Like, I don't mind just as long as like you make a new character or just you want to do something differently. Not to bring it back more powerful. I had to really think about it, and we had to set some compromises. But you decided to anyway continue with this character. But before
And I
you
still
told me
died.
that you wanted it to die, I had already like written up most of this this adventure, and that it was actually going to be difficult. So if there was a moment that you wanted to purposefully die, you could do so now. But now you actually died without wanting to die.
So yeah, it was quite ironic. It's like,
Yeah.
I want to die, I don't want to die,
I died.
dies.
yeah.
But a beautiful new baby boy was born out of this death.
Yeah.
Oh god, I'm in love with this character.
Yeah, we had quite
Me
some
and
laughs
Evan-
afterward.
Yeah, me and Evan, we immediately got to making new character because well, I need it, and the other player decided like, I'm alone now in this like criminal campaign. Let's just make a new character for this campaign. Let's do something else. Still in this setting, but like let's do something else.
Yeah.
So I made Rosemary, exquisite bard and traveling troubadour, at your service, milady. He is a traveling bard who is 10,000 gold pieces in debt because he wanted to marry a girl. He borrowed 10,000 gold pieces from the bank, and he bought the most expensive ring he could find. He proposed to her, and it was all lovely, and they were going to make back the money quite easily because they were going to start a cupcake stand and they were going to be happy. And one evening they were laying in the park next to each other looking up the stars, and Rosemary's real name is Clyde Gray, and Clyde was strumming his lute, singing a love song, when a rabid stray dog attacked his fiancée, ripped her throat out and ate her, and he ran away.
Yeah, you just ran away.
He came back the next morning like, where is the dog and where is my wife? They're both gone, and it turns out the dog had eaten the ring, including all of his savings. So now he is kind of like hiding from the bank authorities because they want to imprison him for debt, and he's just kind of hanging around town trying to make money where he can. to pay off this debt, but he's failing miserably because he enjoys expensive stuff too much.
Yeah.
And he has a +9 in charisma, so yeah, that's gonna be fun.
Yeah, but now he has a secret, like he's still looking for this dog to try and get the ring back
Yeah,
that it
he's
ate.
been looking for the dog for 3 years, and he's failed. And I think the dog, I haven't determined this, I'm leaving this up to Evan, but the dog is either dead, or it pooped out the ring somewhere, or the dog got eaten by something bigger. Yeah. He lost all his savings, now he's traveling, and I'm working on a LARP costume of him as well.
Okay.
I have a lot of parts ready.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah.
I can't get it exactly like the art I found for him, but I'll just make this my own version of him, basically how I imagine him, because he's my character and I can do what I want.
Yeah, that's fine.
And
So-
since shops are opening again, I'm gonna go to a LARP store soon and buy
Okay.
new pieces.
And the loot as well, you mentioned.
Yeah, I wanted to get a loot, and I was like, I'm curious, how much is a loot? Oh, they don't mass produce these. These are all handcrafted, and they cost about like 900 to 1400 euros.
Right.
So yeah, no, I'm not gonna buy a loot. I'm probably gonna buy a flute though, because he also plays that.
Yeah.
I don't know how to play the flute, but good incentive to learn something new.
Yeah, exactly. Just before we end, the other player, this is going to be more of a funny comedic campaign. Like I've already decided, I've already some fun stuff that the players can do. So the other guy's name is Rukert Rookston. Just a name that we...
You go and explain. I'm gonna pull up my character sheet.
Yeah, sure. We imagined this name a few months back, and we had quite a lot of fun with just this name.
It was kind of an inside joke.
Yeah, it's a
name,
bit of an
really.
inside joke. But we did imagine at the time, like, if it ever became a character, that would be really funny, and this was the opportunity for the player to make this character. So he imagines what we did. We also wrote up this character, and he is like this big, bald, hulking guy, but he's really friendly, and he's actually a writer. Just that he can't write for jack shit.
Yeah, and he's like mentally 7. He's
Yeah.
really dumb.
He just really loves writing. So he wrote 3 books, I think. But there's just so many spelling mistakes and grammar mistakes in them.
Constant swearing and
Yeah, just
Rambling.
nonsense and ramblings. But he just thinks it's really professional. So we had them published in just a backwater publishing studio with this old dude who doesn't really understand much. But he got his books published and he's really proud of it. But he actually turned out to be quite famous because of it. Because people were buying his books and reading them and enjoying them. He just thinks it's because of his stories, of his writing, how well it is.
genuinely interested in what he has to say.
Yeah, exactly. But in reality, people just buy his books ironically and just laugh about it with friends and stuff as like a gag gift you would gift your family member. So it's kind of famous for that reason. But because this character is just stupid, doesn't really understand it, he just thinks people like it. It's just really well done and really professional. So this difference between him and the NPCs that they will meet, that kind of interaction will be quite funny.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be hilarious.
Going forward.
And I also think the group dynamic is gonna be amazing. You have this like
Charismatic
decently smart,
bard.
extremely charismatic bard who's weak and is just puny and wants to run away from everything. And you have this hulking beast of a man who's just really friendly.
Yeah, but still quite strong, and drinks and gets into bar fights and stuff. So I think there can be there will be a lot of instances. I can't speak today.
Instances.
that
Yes.
that the players will get into, that are just combat, but more like improvised combat, because that's something you both have as well, like this feat, like improvised weapons.
I don't have Tavern Brawler. I have Lucky. That's a feat I took, which
Okay.
is OP, but it's fun
Yeah, I think
for the
he
sake
did.
of my character.
I think the other character did. So just hit everyone with as much as they can find.
Yeah, you get a D4. Well, you basically get proficiency with improvised weapons, which is hilarious. You can turn everything and anything into a weapon.
Yeah. It will.
I pulled up my my spell list for Rosemary, which is his nickname. I obviously based him off of Jaskier from The Witcher, Dandelion. So I took the 3 cantrips. I took Friends, Dancing Lights, and Vicious Mockery. So the thing is with this character, I'm not trying to go for all combat. I'm basically trying to avoid combat at all costs. Dancing, because I have Friends, basically to, I don't know, like influence people's minds. So he can make them forget about their wives and what he did to them. Dancing Lights to enhance his performance. Vicious Mockery because he's an ass. Charm Person speaks for itself. Disguise Self to get into parties he's definitely not allowed into.
Yeah,
Distort Value.
Or get away from people he doesn't
Or get away from
want,
people, yes.
want to interact with.
Distort Value basically to make himself, he'll cast it on himself and his own clothes and stuff and his loot to make himself look less shaggy.
But he can cast it on, that's the whole point of the spell, to cast it on like valuable objects and make it look dirtier, to get a better price, or the other way around, to make something dirty look more valuable and sell it that way.
Yeah, but he's not going to use it that way. He's going to use it on himself to make himself look better and stuff like that.
Right.
All of his spells are learned either out of necessity or pure chance. It's just like he's prepared for situations like, oh crap, the nobleman's guards are going to see me come out of the lady's room. What do? Disguise Self. Oh, this bouncer wants to kick me out of the club, but I have to earn money. Charm Person, stuff like that.
He still had to learn the spells, but
he did.
From a
but
young
it was
age,
like
he knew he was magical. So, he is also the son of a prostitute,
yes.
I should say.
Yes, he is.
Like nothing serious, no dead parents or anything. Just
no, he's just like he's the son of a lady.
So his mother does still live?
I think she does.
Is she still in the business?
No, she's retired.
Okay, but she's.
Oh no, his mother is dead. I'm just looking at his backstory.
Okay. Right.
He feared becoming poor after his mother passed away, and did anything he could to stay out of poverty.
Although I do think it can be
music and telling tales.
Maybe funnier if she's still alive, like maybe some interactions with.
And then she comes
mother.
into the bar like, "Hey boys," and then she, "Mom, go away! Who is that woman? Is that your mom?"
But super
no.
old, but still super old and dressed like.
That's horrible.
And no one really likes her anymore, but she just thinks that she's still
famous
pretty
in the lower districts.
Yeah. Oh, she definitely is, but for different reasons.
For different reasons than Clyde is. And then the last spells he has is Calm Emotions, Enthrall, and Aether's Mischief. So, So that is the spell list he has. It's just basically fooling people into not hitting him in the face. And he's just like this happy-go-lucky kind of guy, and it's gonna be hilarious to play him.
Yeah, that's going.
I'm gonna make a list, campaign. By the way, of all the women he's ever loved, so you can use those as possible, maybe NPCs or something.
Random encounters.
Random encounters. You encounter an old lover. Oh my God, is that you, Clyde? Oh my God, I've missed you so much. Oh, I certainly have not missed you, woman. Bye.
Yeah, it's going to be more roleplay heavy. So it requires some training on my part, but I'm prepared for it to do, and I'm interested.
I think,
I'm excited.
As in like DM styling, we're quite different. I think you're more of like the stat block combat. Like your combats are great, dude. Your maps are awesome.
Right, thanks.
You're definitely more of a stat guy, I think, and like the big stories.
Yeah.
I'm quite good at improvising, and I really like to RP NPCs and get into like these, enhanced RP situations, because I just love expressing like what the character is feeling or thinking, and
just be more engaging, more charismatic with the NPCs that you create.
If we co-DM'd, we'd make one hell of a team.
Yeah, just unfortunate that it's quite difficult to do so.
It is.
Although I do think if we ever made a campaign book ourselves or something, both of our qualities will work quite well together. So maybe in the future we'll see. The Castles, Cantrips and Conniptions campaign setting.
The book. 6 seasons in a movie, baby.
Yeah. But we should wrap it up here.
Yeah, we should. We've been talking for an hour now. Great. So, I'd like to thank you all for listening to this week's episode. We've been doing quite well on the channel, and we've been doing quite well ourselves, and we love to see it grow. So, if you guys could please share this with any of your friends
or anyone else.
Anyone.
Your dogs, your cats.
Just if your donkey listens to this,
tell us in the comments. Here. If you're listening with your
tell us
pets,
in the comments if you have any thoughts,
or whatever.
And
weird.
like the video and stuff. I'm not good at this. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.
Bye bye.